Hey gang, got a real quick one here. So other content creators have covered this one, but I feel like they missed a couple little highlights or low points on this. So I thought that I might just go ahead and take a stab at them from a legal background since I am a paralegal. So with no further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so almost exactly a week ago, Xylo went ahead and dropped this on Spectrum, where he was talking about the Evocati patch notes. Basically, what happened, you've probably heard this from other content creators. A couple of the really big ones have already gone out and talked about this in a certain extent. They missed a couple points. Basically, what it is that CIG has lifted the NDA as far as patch notes and talking about Evocati goes. And I was debating doing an update on uh, my video on what Evocati is, where I had to be extremely careful about how I talked about it because of the way this NDA is worded. Because the NDA says you can't discuss anything about the experience in NDA. So I could, or in Evocati. So I couldn't say, yeah, Evocati patches are really, really, really broken. Like I couldn't say that before. I can say that now. The big difference is that I still can't show videos or images. And so what CIG is trying to do there, and this is the point that I really wanted to hammer home, and I'll probably cut this one real short, but uh, the thing that CIG is trying to prevent is just bad press getting out there of people going and clipping a bunch of things from a pre-production standpoint or a pre-patch standpoint, like what Evocati is. Uh, I'll take a quick side note here that the patches that you get in the PTU that are really broken that you just kind of laugh and you say, what the hell is going on here? Sometimes in the Evocati patches, like the earlier ones, you can't even get into the patch because it's so broken. And when you do, it just 30Ks. Um, I think they actually set the servers to come down every 30 minutes or an hour at the most, just so that they have less information they have to dig through. Because really, what they're trying to do in Evocati is build a stable test platform for the PTU, which is a stable test platform for the PU. And so it just kind of migrates that way. But the patches that you get in Evocati typically aren't even playable until some of the much later stages. Like you'll log in and you're supposed to go test a new mission or something, and by the time you get out of your bed, the server is already crashing. That's a typical early to mid Evocati patch. Lately, those have been getting more stable, which is, I think, is part of what this is doing. Uh, but going back to what I was saying, so now they've kind of lifted the NDA on that part. I can talk about that. What I can't do is go out and record videos and show pictures, and that's so they can avoid the bad press. It used to be back in the old days, what would happen is if an Evocati patch came out and people were showing those videos from those early builds or things where you'd pop in and like fall through the floor of the bed or something like that. Uh, People that are a little bit more unscrupulous about how they portray this project would be like, no, 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 this is the live experience. This is what people are experiencing when they play the game. This isn't an early test build for a select group of testers. They'd be like, this is the game. And people out in the public would be like, wow, that's a broken mess of a game. I wouldn't want to play that. That does sound like a scam. And that was kind of the goal of those people and still is to a certain extent. So CIG is kind of trying to hedge their bets. You can talk about it, but if I'm saying, hey, the patch is broken, that's much different than showing videos of a broken patch that people could then clip and then project as the real thing. So that's what CIG is trying to avoid there. I will say that there are a few content creators that I've kind of noticed, and they're smaller ones, uh, that didn't read that NDA too carefully because they're all like, hey, the new ePTU patch is out, and they'll just be out there, that'll be their content for their channel. I'm just kind of like, yeah, okay. CIG might eventually pull the plug on them. I think it's more The NDA was always something that I think after the earlier days when this project was a little bit more vulnerable to that kind of thing than it is now, they kind of kept it in their back pocket of if somebody is blatantly smearing them, they could kind of be like, "Hey, you violated the NDA. Yoink, your account is gone now. Bye." And um, yeah, that's kind of what I think CIG is still doing, is kind of keeping it as a way to justify yanking a troll's account if they get out of line and they have Evocati access. That said, from what I have seen, some of the content, at least back in the early days, you'd have somebody that was Evocati that may or may not actually be contributing to Evocati that was going into like the bug reports, those kinds of videos. Like I would make a video, put it unpublished and upload it to them so that they could see what the bug was. But when you do those bug reports, a lot like the PTU or the PU, when you submit a bug report, somebody could go and grab that video and then clip it or whatever. And so that's what was probably happening in a lot of those cases, was the person that actually made the video wasn't necessarily the person that clipped it and then put it on their channel. Anyway, that's just kind of what I want to say about this one. Yeah, that's it. Catch you next time. I got more stuff coming up later this week. So, bye.